And so I just decided to myself I'd hide it from myself. I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of? Hey team, I am sick. So if you see some red nostril situation happening here, just know that I'm suffering. Today's the first day I've had enough energy in a long time to film a video, and I'm not gonna let some snot get in the way. Now, this video is purely for me. Scream is my favorite movie of all time. And again, I know that I have said this before about a few other movies, but Scream has held the title of my favorite horror movie for the majority of my life, and so it kind of reigns supreme over most other movies. Because it's such a popular franchise and such a popular movie, and there are so many horror movie creators on this website, this franchise has been talked about from all different angles, and so there's really not much else to say. However, I was inspired to make this video when I did my most recent rewatch of all of the movies front to back for Halloween, and I noticed some interesting music references. I felt inspired to talk about it. The music of the Scream franchise. As always, we will run through some of my credentials. I know that if you follow me, you probably have never heard me talk about this before, but I'm in a band. Our first single that we released 2 years ago is a song called WHORE for horror. Now, I don't know if I'll get demonetized for saying it, so I'm just gonna be extra careful. My best friend, bandmate, and most beautiful person in the world, Morgan, and I love horror movies. I would recommend watching the Dead Meat podcast episode about Final Girls. It's an older one, but I really enjoyed it, and it inspired me and my best friend to write the song in response to this trope that kind of sets women up to want to be this aspirational, virginal, I'm not like other girls type of girl. We thought it would be hilarious to write a song from the perspective of a girl who's like, actually, I don't want to survive. I would prefer to be the slut who dies. That's what makes me an expert on horror movies. I literally wrote the song about slashers. If you are a horror movie fan and you like punk, you'll like this song. I would recommend going to stream it. I'll put the link in the description. So those are my credentials. Obviously, that doesn't really mean anything at all. I just really like the Scream movies. Disclaimers, I am going to spoil these movies. If you've never seen the first Scream movie, oh my god, I am so jealous of you. To be able to watch this movie for the first time and not have it be spoiled would be an incredible experience. Take this very seriously when I say, if you don't know what happens in Scream and you haven't seen it, do not watch this video first. The sequels to Scream are all like baseline good, but they're not like must-see movies. So if you don't feel like watching them, or if you don't mind getting them spoiled before you do watch them, then go ahead and watch this video. So we're just gonna cut right to the chase with the first Scream movie. Here's my copy. Wish I had like long fingernails. Is that satisfying? We're gonna start by talking about Red Right Hand. It's not the first song featured in the movie, but it is kind of the most iconic, or considered to be like Scream's theme song. This song was written by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, who are an Australian rock band. It was released as a single from their 8th studio album, Let Love In 1994. The reason why it's kind of considered the theme song of Scream is because it's in every single Scream movie except for the 4th one. So we will be talking about Red Right Hand a couple of times in this video. It was initially used as an establishing shot of Woodsboro. It's like very goth, very eerie. The lyrics were inspired by an old John Milton epic poem called Paradise Lost, which is a biblical story of the fall of man, the temptation of Adam and Eve by the fallen angel Satan, and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden. Nick Cave took the lyric Red Right Hand from that poem and then wrote lyrics about a shadowy, alluring, and manipulative figure stalking the land and striking a combination of fear and awe everywhere he goes. So the song is used when we kind of get the vibe of Woodsboro being stalked by a shadowy figure, Ghostface, who is a person in a Reaper costume with this Scream-like face mask. These movies love to use music as foreshadowing. So Red Right Hand is played right after the video store scene where Randy is accosted by Billy and Stu, who end up being the killers in the first movie. Interestingly, the movie doesn't choose the first verse to start the song on. It chooses the last verse. And so we're going to go over the lyrics of that verse. You'll see him in your nightmares. You'll see him in your dreams. He'll appear out of nowhere, but he ain't what he seems. He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. You're one microscopic cog in his catastrophic plan, designed and directed by his red right hand. Oh gosh, the raspiness. Do you guys think that my raspy, cold, nasally voice is sexy? Time to blow my nose. This is gonna be so gross for me to edit later. Moving on. So this is the scene that actually inspired me to do this video because I noticed something in the background of that scene with Billy sneaking into Sydney's bedroom, an Indigo Girls poster on her wall. So I don't listen to Indigo Girls, but I was familiar with them because of the research I did for my Kathleen Hanna video. The Indigo Girls are a folk rock duo who released their first album in 1987 and then released their first label album on Epic Records in 1989, which included their hit song Closer to Fine. I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountain. Not a folk singer, a punk singer. We've been through this, but I don't want to get demonetized, so I can't really play the song. So the reason why I identified this as kind of an interesting choice for the set design of Sydney's bedroom is because Indigo Girls would not have been a really typical choice for a teenage girl's bedroom in 1996. First of all, they are very openly lesbians. I'm not saying that there are no straight people in the world. I'm just saying that it is more rare than we think. To me, Sydney having an Indigo Girls poster is bisexual evidence. Do you understand me when I say that? Is anybody gonna get mad if I introduce this theory into our pop culture conversation? Either way, I do think it established Sydney as a character who is kind of cool and a little bit not like other girls, which is pretty common for a final girl in a slasher movie. Indigo Girls would not have been in the top 100 artists of the year. The number one artist of 1996 was the Spice Girls, which is an all-girl pop group that you're probably familiar with and is something that Sydney's best friend Tatum would probably listen to. NPR describes Indigo Girls fans as generations of guitar strumming camp counselors and rootsy stoners of all ages and genders, as well as global saphists who loved them from the beginning. So by far the more relevant music reference in this scene that I just spent talking about a poster in the background that's only on screen for a little bit is the song Don't Fear the Reaper. Billy is Sydney's boyfriend and he is climbing into her window so that he can try to get a little freaky with her. You hear the song Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult playing acoustically and subtly in the background, kind of telling you who the killer is because the killer is literally dressed in a Reaper costume. Sydney is clearly not fearing the Reaper in that exact moment because he has his hands crawling towards her underpants. Hi, baby. Meow. Are you mad? So Don't Fear the Reaper was on the 1967 Blue Oyster Cult album called Agents of Fortune. It was written and sung by the lead guitarist Donald Buck Dharma Roser, and it's about accepting the inevitability of death. When he was 22 years old, he was diagnosed with an irregular heart condition, which got him thinking a lot about the potential for dying young. At concerts, they often dedicate it to people who have recently passed away. When they were asked, do you wish that you had more songs that were as popular as this one, they responded with, I don't see it like that. I'm fortunate to have even one song to be as popular as this, which I think is a really cool outlook. So not only is this song used to foreshadow who the killer is, it was also a reference to Halloween 1978. So the original Halloween was a very low budget sort of indie horror movie. They didn't have a lot of money to license a bunch of popular songs. The only licensed song that they used in the original Halloween is the song Don't Fear the Reaper, and it plays in the car on the radio when Laurie and Annie are smoking a cigarette set and they run into Annie's cop dad. Laurie takes a drag and she's all
Little Lindsay Wallace won't know when to hit her.
oh my gosh, she's such a good girl. Like, she doesn't know how to, like, smoke a cigarette. And the way that Annie goes, my dad!
My dad! Get rid of this!
It cracks me up. It's, like, not played to be super funny. I just, my dad! my dad! We're gonna go over some lyrics. All our times have come. Here but now they're gone. Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain. We can be like they are. We'll be able to fly. Baby, I'm your man. Goes out forever. So this is the last song we're going to talk about in this movie because it's one of my favorite needle drops ever. So the principal of Woodsboro High School, where our main characters go to school, is played by none other than the Fonz, Henry Winkler. So Principal Hembry suspends these students for trying to scare the crap out of Sydney by running around the halls in the Ghostface costume. And after he suspends them, he literally puts the mask on and like does a weird little jig in the mirror for some reason. I guess to maybe make us suspect that he might be the killer, even though he's literally minutes away from being slaughtered himself. This movie does a really good job balancing the tone of very scary and still kind of funny and cheeky and campy, and we all know that I love camp. When this scene is followed by the needle drop of School's Out Forever by Alice Cooper playing, it's so iconic and hilarious because the principal has just died brutally, and now we're getting this song about school being out for the summer. So the song was written by Alice Cooper, which is a glam rock group formed in 1968, led by the frontman Vincent Furnier, who adopted the stage name of Alice Cooper. He's considered the godfather of shock rock. When asked what the greatest 3 minutes of your life is, Alice Cooper said, there are 2 times during the year. One is Christmas morning, and the next one is the last 3 minutes of the last day of school when you're sitting there and it's like a slow fuse burning. He wanted to capture that feeling in a song. Scream 2. Released in 1997, the year that I was born. The opening scene of Scream 2 stars Jada Pinkett Smith and the guy from Scrubs, and they're going to see Stab in theaters, which is a fictional movie based on the events of the first movie. It's one of my favorite opening scenes in the Scream franchise. I love Jada Pinkett Smith's character.
It's a dumbass white movie about some dumbass white girls getting their white asses cut the fuck up.
Jada Pinkett Smith says, the horror genre is historical for excluding the African American element. Rest in peace, Maureen Evans. You would have loved Jordan Peele. So in the opening credits for the fictional Stab movie, the song Red Right Hand is played. In the first movie, Sydney and Tatum and Dewey are talking about what characters might play them in a movie. Right Hand plays in the background. You find out like who actually does end up playing these characters. Now we're going to talk about Dewey's theme. It's hard to remember that Dewey's theme is only introduced in the second movie because to me I just can't imagine a Scream movie without it. So apparently it's really common in movie productions to have temporary tracks that are typically replaced before the movie is released. So Dewey's theme was actually borrowed from John Woo's movie Broken Arrow, which is a 1996 action film starring Christian Slater and John Travolta. So Marco Beltrami did the score for the Scream movies. Dewey's theme was inspired by a composer called Ennio Morricone, who was an Italian composer most known for his work composing for spaghetti westerns, which is a subgenre of western films that are made in Europe. Marco Beltrami did end up writing his own version of a spaghetti western inspired motif to be used as Dewey's theme, and Wes Craven loved his version. The studio had already decided to stick with the temp track, which was composed by Hans Zimmer, who was also inspired by Ennio Morricone. I'm sorry if I'm saying that name wrong. Sorry, Italians. Sorry. The next music reference that we're going to talk about in this movie comes from the scene where Cece is killed by Ghostface. Cece, of course, is played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is a Scream queen herself. She was also in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and in, of course, the Scooby-Doo live-action movies. She's also Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I have not seen yet, but I have been told many times that I need to watch it. I'll get to it. So Cece is in a sorority and is being haunted by Ghostface by getting calls on the sorority house phone, and she hangs up on him and calls her sorority sister and tells her that some creep asshole is trying to scare her. When Cece hears someone upstairs and starts to get scared, her sorority sister on the phone starts whispering,
Hello? Stop it!
So this line is a reference to, of course, Friday the 13th. Now, this is one of my favorite little horror movie trivia facts ever. So Henry Manfredini composed the score for the Friday the 13th franchise. In the original film, when it's revealed that Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mother, is the killer, you see her say, "Kill her, mommy." It's as if she has taken on the role of her son, who was tragically killed when the camp counselors were not paying attention to him being pushed in the water by some bullies and drowning because they were too busy having sex with each other. So Manfredini takes this line and distorts it into the music so that "kill her mommy" becomes ma, 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 ma. And it's heard when characters are killed, so you get a feel for what Pamela Voorhees might be hearing herself. There is a part of my band's song, WHORE for horror, where we reference this, but we don't say "kill her mommy," we say something else that is certainly too inappropriate for me to say on this website. Okay, we have to talk about this scene. In Scream 2, Sydney is going to college. About halfway through the movie, her frat boy boyfriend is trying to cheer Sydney up because she is getting targeted by a masked killer yet again. So in the cafeteria, Sydney's friends are discussing who they think the killer might be. When Sydney arrives, she sits down and starts telling them about the police officers who are assigned to basically watching her. She knows their zodiac signs, which is more Sidney Prescott bisexual evidence, if you ask me.
He is a Gemini single, but I think he's gay.
Mickey says, "Derek, penny for your thoughts," which triggers one of the most cringe or most iconic scenes in the franchise. Depends on who you ask. Derek starts singing the song "I Think I Love You" by the Partridge Family. Now, I understand that we live in movie land and not everything is going to necessarily happen the way that it would happen in real life, but I cannot imagine myself reacting the way that the people in this cafeteria react. When I was in college, if somebody stood up on the tables when I was trying to eat and started singing to their girlfriend, especially a frat boy, come on. My reaction would look a lot more like this. I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm not sure of. I love there is no cure. Okay, warning, next time. I think I love you. Isn't that what Why is he doing that? I'm not trying to eat. No, it's like, it's so romantic. It's so romantic. I'm not annoyed at all. I have class. So the song "I Think I Love You" is sung by Tony Romeo and was written as the debut single for the fictional musical TV family, The Partridge Family. It was released in August of 1970. In the scene, Mickey identifies it as a Top Gun reference, which is a movie that came out in 1986. That is really confusing to me. Top Gun is an American action drama film that was directed by Tony Scott, starring Tom Cruise, which could be a reference to the first movie when Tatum calls Sydney and suggests that they watch All the Right Moves, because if you pause it just right, you can see Tom Cruise's penis. So the scene that this movie is apparently referencing from Top Gun is when the character Maverick, assisted by Goose, serenades his love interest with the song "Lost That Lovin' Feeling," which is not the same song that Sydney's boyfriend is singing. I don't understand how this constitutes a reference, like just like a love interest publicly singing a song and getting everybody to like join in and clap along. I will say that in Top Gun, this scene is a lot less corny and awkward than they do it in Scream. But honestly, in my most recent rewatch, I kind of found it a little more endearing. So my opinion has changed over the years. Let me know what you think. Jerry O'Connell apparently had to audition with this scene. He's a really bad singer, which I think makes it kind of cute. It serves as a sweet moment for Sydney, showing her that she's cared about by her boyfriend, who then gives her his like Greek letters on a necklace, which is like really taboo in like the fraternity world. That necklace ends up helping her defeat the killer, and she wears it in the third film, which is kind of cute. Moving on to Scream 3, released in the year 2000. So I have less to say about the music in this movie. I do want to share some just general thoughts about Scream 3 because I think this is a controversial one in the series, and I have grown to actually kind of love it. It deserves some slack because it suffered from a production nightmare, which we won't go into in this video. For me, it really ups the camp factor, but it doesn't really like make sense with the other two movies, which were taken a little more seriously. But I think that that's what makes it more interesting because it's like trying something different. The biggest takeaway from this movie is Parker Posey. Her character is beyond perfect. I adore her. The most interesting thing musically that we'll talk about is the opening scene. So Cotton Weary is the character who was accused of being Sydney's mother's murderer in the first movie, was proven innocent, obviously. So Cotton Weary ends up starring in his own talk show and like acquiring some fame. Cotton gets a call from Ghostface letting him know that he's stalking his girlfriend in his big beautiful mansion while she's in the shower. Cotton is unable to warn his girlfriend that Ghostface is in the house with her. To taunt her, Ghostface starts blasting an incredibly 90s post-grunge rock song in the home, which leads us to Creed. Can you take me higher? Creed is an American rock band formed in 1994. So the song that's playing is What If by Creed, which is the second single from their 1999 album Human Clay, which was released on January 31st, 2000. And it was also the lead single for the soundtrack to Scream 3, which the band helped to produce. The music video is almost a continuation of the Scream lore. It kind of takes place in the Scream universe because it features David Arquette reprising his role as Dewey. It takes place at Sunrise Studios, which is the fictional studios that Scream 3 takes place in, and we are going to watch it. Okay, so here's beautiful baby boy David Arquette. He is a little cutie patootie. Oh my goodness. Hey, lady! This is the kind of song that makes men in their 40s go. I don't know what the, like, meminess of Creed is, but I do know that they're, like, a little corny. Okay, I forgot to pay attention to the story of this. So we started with a woman being attacked, maybe, and asking David Arquette for help. And now we've got a young lady and a man being led somewhere where potentially danger lurks. I would like to rummage through these costumes. Absolutely, queen. Grab the coat. Yep, good choice. Gorge. This is my dream. I want to go where she is. Oh, that's right. We're at a studio. Okay, yeah. So that's why it's labeled costumes. These are not just clothes. These are... Oh! Nobody told me it got sexy. One thing I love about all male rock bands is they're like, yeah, women. Look at these girls. Look how cool we are. Ooh. Ghostface reveal. Is this official, like, canon? Ah! What if the killer's a girl in this one? What if it's her? Thoughts control your life. I have the captions on this time so I can tell you the lyrics. So this is really indicative of how, like, prevalent Scream has become in pop culture. Because, like, Creed is, like, a really big band, right? What if? What if? What if? Ah! I want that top that guy's wearing. Well, it does make sense for there to be some, like, spiciness in this video because that's how you die in a horror movie, is by, you know, having sex. That top, that's the top that I want. R.I.P. I hope that they tell us who the killer is in this video because if not, what's the point? Maybe Burly Girly should make a music video like this. Will we get sued? Will Paramount sue us? That's who owns Scream, right? Oh! Ghostface reveal. Who was it? Oh, it's literally Creed. It's literally Creed. Okay. Oh my gosh. Spoiler alert for the 5th movie. So I ran out of steam yesterday. We're gonna finish the second half of this video today. So we're gonna pick up right where we left off with Scream 4, released in 2011. This is the first Scream movie that was released during an era that I can remember. I remember having a Scream marathon in my mom's basement with one of my best friends in preparation for this movie coming out in theaters. I do not have a lot to say musically about Scream 4 either. Like I said, it is the only one that doesn't have Red Right Hand in it. Literally the only thing I want to talk about in this movie is Kirby. Kirby Reed is a character introduced who is friends with our lead character, Jill Roberts, who, is it Roberts? Is her last name Roberts? Wait, am I just getting this confused because Emma Roberts? What is Jill's last name? Don't tell me it's Roberts. Jill in Scream. It is Jill Roberts. Hang on. And she's played by whom? By whomst? Emma Roberts. I can't believe I never made that connection before. Anyways, I just love Kirby. She's kind of like the new Randy character introduced in this film, but it is more of like a cool take on the film nerd character. First of all, cooler because girl, and also hot, and also girl. She's so snarky and so funny. She has this iconic line when the actual film bro-y incel nerd with the never-ending impossible technology streaming device is interviewing the three main girls.
You're a genre nut, Kirby. What's your favorite scary movie?
Bambi.
Now, I hate what Scream 6 does to Kirby's character. I don't really understand her becoming a detective. I guess it does make sense for her storyline to be really passionate about like ghost face killings, like she says in the movie. I feel like there's just like another less on the nose way to have her be involved in that story. Either way, I have my own version of Kirby. That's my headcanon. My Kirby is gay. My Kirby is, because everybody's gay to me. My Kirby is struggling with comp het, which is why she's into the Culkin guy. I forgot the character's name. Charlie, I think. My Kirby's in love with Sydney. She meets Sydney and she kind of gets a little bit flustered, and it kind of is written off as like oh, she just loves horror movies, and she's meeting like real person who the character of a famous movie that she loves is based off of. But in my mind, it's more of like a romantic nervousness. Now, the reason why I bring up Kirby is because one of the only like musical moments in the movie that I do want to talk about is when she's driving in her car really early on in the movie and she passes by Dewey, who is now the sheriff of Woodsboro, and she is blasting a punk rock song, and I immediately was like, what is that song? So the song that Kirby's playing in the car is Cup of Coffee by the Novocaines. The Novocaines are an Australian band based in Perth. They released their first two studio EPs, Ragdoll in 2009 and Courtesy eventually in 2010. They opened for Brody Dahl's second project after the Distillers called Spinneret. Jay Watson, the drummer of the Novocaines, left the band to join the band Tame Impala, who you might be familiar with. I just felt like this was a cool choice for her character to have her listening to this kind of niche underground song. I understand that they probably chose a less known punk song because the licensing was probably cheaper, but I did create a playlist of songs that I think Kirby Reed would like. FML by Surfboard, Manners by Bad Waitress, Smoko by The Chats, 40 Ounces on Repeat by Fiddler, Bad Mouth by Fugazi, Touch Me I'm Sick by Mudhoney, Pretty on the Inside by Hole, Hate Me by The Distillers, and Breeding by Priests, Sweet 69 by Babes in Toyland, Camelot, Skating Polly. I mean, I could go on. It's a longer playlist. I honestly just put music that I like on here because I am parasocial and I just created a whole version of Kirby that is me. So yeah, anyway, I thought that was interesting, and it did introduce me to a new band that I actually think is really cool that I wouldn't have heard before. Some of the best punk music is coming from Australia, and that is foreshadowing for a Ray Ratma video. Scream 2022. It's Scream 5. They're just doing the thing that movies like to do now. Me and my best friend, bandmate, and most beautiful person in the world, Morgan, went to go see it in theaters, and this was also the day that we put out a TikTok of us performing our song, WHORE for horror, which ended up getting a lot of likes on TikTok, like 40,000 or something, which was really exciting to us, but we didn't even have a drummer in our band at the time, so we were like, oh, shoot, we should probably like actually be like a real band because people like our music, apparently. Jenna Ortega is in this movie, and she is my Scream queen. She's my girl. She's my everything. So Jenna Ortega being in this movie also places Sabrina Carpenter in the Scream universe because Jenna Ortega was also in her Taste music video. Tara Carpenter, Sam Carpenter, John Carpenter, Sabrina Carpenter. So the new Scream era was ushered in by Radio Silence, which is an American film and television production company founded in 2011 by Matt Bettinelli, Olpen, Tyler Gillette, Justin Martinez, and Trad Villela. They were also known for movies like Ready or Not and Abigail, which just came out this year, which I loved. Speaking of radio silence, the first music reference we're going to talk about is actually Matt Bettinelli. So Matt is one of the directors of this movie, but he's also one of the founding members of a punk band called Link 80, who I had never listened to before doing research for this video, but I really enjoyed their music. I can't believe that I didn't know of their existence. They're like a ska core punk band. So they were signed to Asian Man Records, which is an indie DIY label in California, who also signed bands like Alkaline Trio and Less Than Jake. Side note, Less Than Jake has a cover of I Think I Love You by the Partridge Family. Literally everything is connected. So Matt left Link 80 in 1998 and started working as a music journalist, which gave him the opportunity to interview bands including Alkaline Trio, the Dropkick Murphys, Lawrence Arms, Avail, Blur, Violet Femmes, The Breeders, Mars Volta, and Psychedelic Furs. He actually made his directing debut with an Alkaline Trio music video called Goodbye Forever in 1999. This is relevant information in the movie, not just because he's the director, but because his punk background actually plays an important role in the soundtrack. So I mentioned Matt's connection to Alkaline Trio, not only directing the music video for them, but sharing a label with them because one of their songs, The American Scream, is featured on the soundtrack of this movie. So Alkaline Trio is a punk band from Chicago that was formed in 1997 and is still active today. They formed their own record label in conjunction with Epitaph Records called Heart and Soul and released the album This Addiction in 2010, which included the song The American Scream. Some of the lyrics of this song, and that's where they found me, in the cemetery, a smoking gun in my hand. Now I'm damned for the land of the free. Sing with me, the American Scream. All right, we're talking about Red Right Hand again. Because guess what? Kyle Gallner. Kyle Gallner's in this. Kyle Gallner's in this. Wait, that's right. Kyle Gallner is going to get a restraining order on me. I swear to God. If you don't know my history with this actor, go watch my Dinner in America video. Kyle plays Stu Macher's nephew in this movie. And Matthew Lillard and Kyle Gallner are both indie punk movie darlings, Matthew Lillard being in SLC Punk and Kyle Gallner being in Dinner in America. This is one of my favorite moments in the movie is when Vince is killed. So Vince is Kyle Gallner's character. He's introduced as one of the red herrings, obviously being connected to Stu, leading you to think that he could be the killer. Also, he's just like a general asshole. He's like fucking with the teen main cast at a bar that they are at for some reason. He gets shooed away, and outside of the bar is where his kill scene begins. He's engaging in some assholery typical behavior when all of a sudden the car turns on and he hears the song Red Right Hand. In the press for this movie, the directors often would talk about how they were doing a return to form, and I felt like this was a great example of exactly that. Our next music reference is Joyce Manor Baby. In the third act of Scream 2022, when we go back to Stu Macher's original house that Amber lives in, we get a shot of the basement and see a Joyce Manor sticker on the fridge. So Joyce Manor is a punk band that was formed in 2008. Their 2011 debut, self-titled, featured their best song, Constant Headache, and was released with indie record label 6136. Their 2012 second album, Of All Things I Will Soon Grow Tired, was distributed through Asian Man, who again is the record label that Matt Bettinelli's band was signed to. The band then signed a long-term contract with Epitaph Records, with which the band released Never Hungover Again in 2014. So I understand that likely this sticker was placed in the background just as sort of like a nod to Matt's music career. However, I think it's similar to the Indigo Girls poster in Sydney's bedroom in the sense that I think it's an interesting choice. Regardless if it was put there with the intention of giving you more information about Amber's character, I do want to take some time to explore what I think this might mean about her. So Joyce Manor is like your typical post-punk, emo-ish, whiny dude band. And I say whiny dude band endearingly. I love whiny dude music. Amber listening to Joyce Manor means that she's probably into bands like Tiger's Jaw, Free Throw, Sorority Noise, The Hotelier, etc. I listen to Joyce Manor and music like this, which makes me think maybe Amber is like me, and I think I'm cool. So I would say that maybe Amber is cool. However, the ending of this movie kind of reveals more about her that makes me think like, ooh, not cool. So it gives me the impression that she's kind of like a music snob and thinks that she's better than other people for liking this like heavier, like introspective, poetic, longing, heavy, distorted guitars music. Okay, let's talk about Wallows. So this movie stars Dylan Minnette, who is the guitarist for the band Wallows. So Wallows began in 2011 when Dylan Minnette was a teenager with his besties Braden Lemasters, and Cole Preston. They started releasing music independently in 2011 that did really well. In 2018, Wallows signed a deal with Atlantic Records and released their major label debut EP, Spring. Simultaneously, Dylan Minnette's acting career was taking off when he booked the leading role for the show 13 Reasons Why, which blew up on Netflix upon its release in 2017. So there is a Wallows song in this movie. It plays during the credits. It's the second song that plays during the end credits. I do like Wallows. I was really into them back in like 2020. I don't listen to them as much anymore. However, I did get to meet them IRL, which puts me in the Scream universe, if you ask me. They played at Higher Ground in Burlington and did a fundraiser for the homeless shelter that I was working at the time, which was really cool of them, and they were super nice. I got to have VIP for free. They seem cool. So thanks, Dilly. Love you. You played an excellent Wes. Okay. Scream 6. Scream 6 was released in 2023. Bigger budget means more opportunities for bigger music partnerships. So in this movie, we have Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, who just had a recent comeback after the tragic death of the lead singer Chester Bennington. So In My Head is a song by Mike Shinoda and Kaylee Morg. It has a really good groove to it. It's got hip-hop influences. You can definitely hear the Linkin Park-ness of it all. So the Radio Silence team reached out to Mike Shinoda and asked if he would help them with the movie. And in the conversation, Mike Shinoda played them this song that he was working on, and they were like, oh my god, it's perfect, can we use it? And he was like, yeah. So Kaylee Morg is a YouTuber who rose to prominence by covering songs like Spirit Desire by Tiger's Jaw. She's a massive Scream fan, which is why Mike chose her to be featured on the song, which I think was really cool. When you look at the lyrics, it like makes a lot of sense that the Radio Silence team were like, oh my god, this is perfect, can we use it? Because it is really representative of Sam's mental health journey in this movie. Mike Shinoda talked about how he wanted to make the lyrics sound like intrusive thoughts. Let it begin, push it away, but it's pulling me in. Try to pretend I'm not aware when I do it again. I know the signs. I see the pattern in front of my eyes. Something inside me operating wide, stretching and coming alive. So Mike Shinoda also helped write, along with Demi Lovato, the song Still Alive for this movie. It's kind of like a little rock, but definitely written for Demi Lovato. I am going to react to the music video. We're getting shots of NYC, which is where this movie takes place. Demi is hot. Demi is hot. And then calling, but nobody comes. And falling, and no, it might. I love their makeup in this, actually, a lot. And their hair. Woohoo! Oh, Mike Shinoda's in it too. Oh, good for him. Oh, he's an actor. Are the main cast in this too? Yeah, they are. Oh my god. Ooh. This is like basically canon, right? Just like the other music video we watched. They're taking clips from the movie, so they didn't actually film anything new for this, except for the parts with Demi and Mike Shinoda, obviously. Yeah, they're just watching Scream 6 in the music video. Oh wait, oh no, did Mike die? Oh no. Oh no, Demi, no! Oh no! 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 Oh, scary. Oh god, Sam is so hot in the Scream movies. Yeah. Bleed while my heart is still beating. We are still alive. Especially Mason Gooding's character. He will always be alive. That man got chopped the F up in this movie and survived. Okay, go off. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I have nothing more to say, but it's good. And guys, that was it. That was all of the music ever. Obviously, there are probably some things that maybe you've noticed or thought were interesting or wanted me to talk about that I didn't. Go ahead and let me know in the comments and be super mad about it if you want. Conclusions, Red Right Hand, Don't Fear the Reaper, and Dewey's Theme are all iconic Scream songs. It was fun to talk about them and some other references that maybe you hadn't noticed before. I hope that you learned something new, and even if you were already familiar with everything I said, I hope you had a good time. This was a fun video for me, and like I said, it was just for me, but it took a long time to film, a lot longer than I thought, so please watch it. I mean, if you're here, then you did watch it, so thank you. Yeah, thanks. My second conclusion is this is one of the only horror movie franchises where every single movie is at least good, in my opinion. I think it's worth watching them all. I know that I said that you don't have to in the beginning, but if you want to, I love them. I love these movies. She does too, although she's mad at me right now because I picked her up. Sorry. Stop bothering me then. My last conclusion, I will not be watching Scream 7. I do want to talk about this because I feel like it's important. You may or may not be familiar with the story that came out a year ago now, I think, of Melissa Barrera being fired for her comments about what's happening in Palestine. So Spyglass Studio took her comments and stated that they were blatantly hate speech. This is a highly emotional topic, and I do want to treat it with care because I think for the most part, people have good intentions. It is important to understand that oftentimes anti-Semitism is conflated with anti-Zionism when they are not the same thing. And this is a tactic that's used to silence the voices of people who advocate for Palestinians who are greatly suffering at the hands of Israel. All I want is a solution that's going to help the most innocent people as possible. And it's hard for me to imagine that what's been happening there now and for decades could possibly be what's best for most people. When studios like Spyglass make the decision to fire actors for speaking out, that leads to more people with power not feeling like they are able to speak up when injustices occur due to fear of retribution and losing their income. I have certainly watched movies before or listened to music before made by people or companies whose values don't necessarily align with mine. I'm not a perfect person, and I'm not trying to tell you what you should or shouldn't do or make you feel bad if you do go and see Scream 7. I don't think that shame is a good motivator for people or for change or for building community and power. But I do want to share really vulnerably that this franchise means a lot to me, and the decision to not go and see this movie really hurts me and is a really difficult thing for me to do. And ultimately, I just believe that rich people and corporations are just going to do and believe whatever makes them the most money. So if Spyglass wants to say that this is what they represent, this is what their values are, then I'm going to choose to show them that that's not what I stand for by the most powerful way that I know how, which is by not giving them my money. I do hope that more people decide to do this as well, because I think that the message is better received when we all work together. But again, I'm not here to shame people. I'm just here to say vulnerably, this is my reasoning. This is how I feel. This is what I think. I'm open to hearing feedback. Don't assume bad intentions of people who you disagree with. I can be misinformed. I have been before, and I will do my best to educate myself and to correct myself. If we want more people on the side of fighting for what's good, then we need to be more understanding and willing to listen to each other. I love you, Melissa Barrera. I think you did the right thing, and every other actor who stood by her as well. I know Neve Campbell wasn't in the 6th movie because they didn't offer her a fair wage, and she's coming back to this movie now, and so is Kevin Williamson. I kind of wish that they would have stood with Melissa too. I don't know these people in real life. I don't know the circumstances behind the scenes. These are my values. I love you, Neve. Love you, Kev, but I'm not going to see your movie. Thank you for watching so much. So much. Thank you. Go ahead and like and comment and love me and be nice to me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.